Gideon, thanks very much for that introduction. And yes, we found each other on Twitter, and it took me about a year to find you because you were separated by one digit from a Deadhead blog, the Grateful Dead blog, which actually well, especially a very eclectic woman, but, but it was one digit off, and now I'm following you properly, so thank you for that. I came to the Borgen project very indirectly. My son was just finished his first year at Yale, and so I asked the question that all parents dread to ask because they dread the return back to the home front. What are you doing this summer? And he said, well, I'm working out in Seattle. That was good. We lived in Vermont at the time, so that was nice. Far enough away that it wasn't going to be coming back at weekend. No, I love my son. And he said, I'm working for the Borgen project. And I said, yeah. And what do they do? I said, they're an advocate for the global poor. And my jaw dropped. I just thought that was a mission of such expansive ambition and such powerful emotion that I just wondered, obviously, how a single person or a single organization could take on such a responsibility. And I learned slowly, because I think what Clint Borgen has done is taken on something which is very big, very large, incredibly important, and it goes way beyond our own boundaries of our own city and state and country, and he's done a phenomenal job. My son then worked for him for 3 months and has ranked and continues to rank Clint as one of the most memorable people he's ever met. And at the end of the 3 months, I said, so what did you learn? He said, well, I learned to move from the world of contemplation to action. And I thought that was entirely due to your efforts, Clint, and what you inspire in young people to volunteer their time to work on something which is quite abstract but very real. Quite abstract because we don't give money and hand it over to particular aid projects or NGOs, but very particular in the sense of what we can do, or what fulcrums we can make come to bear on the world's poverty, on the world's poor through our own legislation are quite enormous, and you've made huge differences and continue to do that. When I visited the offices today, I just saw a group of hardworking people, young people who seem so fully enthusiastic about what they're doing and realizing that they're making such conscious changes. I called my son, who is now in doing government service. He's now doing military service. He's in Fort Benning, Georgia, which for those of you that had the experience with the military, like most anything beginning with Fort something is in the middle of nowhere. And his security clearance is delayed by the furlough. But that would be a horrible thing to bring up and dwell on for too long, but you don't. But I said, so what did you learn most? And what do you think about it now, 3 years on? And he said, the biggest thing that he felt that he was able to achieve, and still feels able to achieve, is that a small group, an individual can make a difference. And by being part of the lobbying process, the persuasion process, the advocacy process, that more and more people can be aware of just the power of what alleviation of global poverty can do. So, Clint, again, you took a somewhat naive but ambitious and enthusiastic young man and has made him into, I think, someone who will carry this with him for the rest of his life, realizing that the fulcrum can raise the world and make a big difference. And I want to thank you for that. And finally, just to all of the volunteers in the Borgen group, this is a beginning step to something which I think is going to influence you for the rest of your life, because hopefully you'll take this message and carry it out, and all of us continue to sort of work on the political process and on the persuasion process to eliminate global poverty, which is a very large dream and a very large ambition. But we should dream, and it should be well within our grasp. And thank you very much for your help in making that happen.